I wish I could speak to you in person, but a prior commitment has kept me away. Still, I have so much to say. The first person I want to thank for this great honor is my treasured collaborator, Susan Gubar. What luck it was for us when we crashed into each other in an empty elevator at Indiana University in the fall of 1973. 40 years ago. It was hazy with burning leaves and unending cricket songs. Ex-New Yorkers both, we were grateful for what felt like our mutual alienation from even the musical crickets. We liked each other right away in the elevator and made plans to do lots of things together with our young families. But little did we know that the main professional thing we embarked on within a year, a class in literature by women insouciantly called The Mad Woman in the Attic, would carry us off the elevator, out of Bloomington and New York, and into a whole new world, the hitherto unmapped continent of a women's literary tradition whose contours we had never been taught. We were fortunate in soon gaining the encouragement of many other scholars of our generation who were exploring the same landscape. Elaine Showalter, Catherine Stimpson, Nina Auerbach, Wendy Martin, and perhaps most important to us, the late, great Carolyn Heilbrunn. And we were equally fortunate in winning the support of our first editor at Yale University Press, the late Ellen Graham, who figures in our minds as a mentor equal to Carolyn. Ellen's patience in putting up with a manuscript that filled 2 typing paper boxes, which we disingenuously tried to pass off as 2 copies of the same text, was exemplary, as was her willingness to sign us on for an ever-expanding series of sequels. Equally saintly in his support was the late John Benedict, who joined with my own all-time favorite teacher, M.H. Abrams, in facilitating one of our dream projects, the Norton Anthology of Literature by Women, the first edition of which appeared 5 years after The Mad Woman in 1984. And perhaps most kindly and forbearing of all were our families. In my case, my late husband, Elliot Gilbert, and my 3 children, Roger, Kathy, and Susanna. To be sure, even in those exciting early days of feminist literary criticism, we needed all the courage we could gain from a range of friends. Although both The Mad Woman and The Norton were greeted with warm reviews, and although women's studies and gender theory now seem so established in the academy, many of our male colleagues weren't always altogether positive about our work. My husband once classified their complaints into 2 generalized objections. First, my wife doesn't feel that way, and second, men suffer too. Nor has the kind of feminism that inspired us completely prospered in recent years. All too often students will declare that we've come a long way, professor, or that I'm not a feminist, but, followed by a list of traditional feminist beliefs in equal work for equal pay and so forth. And yet, despite such caveats, we must be grateful to all those who have helped us become part of the history that has brought today's honor to our efforts. Feminist criticism has come a long way. Along with our families and our agent, Ellen Levine, our 2 terrific editors at W.W. Norton, Julia Reedhead and Jill Bialowski, are only the latest in a line of supporters who have over the last 40 years helped us to dwell in possibility, as Emily Dickinson aptly put it.
Along with Sandra, I am very honored to receive this award. As Sandra has mentioned, we met in an elevator, but the subsequent meeting and melding of our minds occurred most frequently in classrooms. First, the undergraduate classroom, in which we team taught a course called The Mad Woman in the Attic, and then later in graduate classes at Indiana University, as well as faculty seminars sponsored by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Our conversations grew out of pedagogic engagements, so we are indebted to a multitude of undergraduate and graduate students. This last group, in particular our dissertators, continue to develop the ongoing enterprise of feminist literary criticism by bringing the lens of gender to a range of venues, from sexuality and transnational studies to the medical humanities. In addition to our wonderful editors at Yale and at Norton, we want to thank editors at Rutgers University Press and Indiana University Press. It was Indiana University Press that published Shakespeare's Sisters, our earliest edited collection of feminist essays specifically about women poets. Poetry was at the heart of our enterprise, in part because of Sandra's work on her own poetry, before and during the 40-year duration of our collaboration. In the classroom, on the phone, in pizza parlors and bars, in each of our houses, we would talk and then write about the literature by women we found ourselves excavating with so many contemporaries. Sandra's voice gave weight and worth to the text we studied, as she was simultaneously composing the poems she would publish in a succession of books. In oracular tones, she would recite a phrase from Charlotte Bronte or Mary Shelley or Emily Dickinson, for example, the low, slow, ha-ha, or the polar expiation, or title divine is mine. Then I heard it as if for the first time, and it stayed with me, taking on resonance and heft. Thank you, Sandra, for becoming an imaginative and intellectual inspiration, not only to me, but to many other readers. There is no way I can pay tribute to the community of people in Bloomington who have supported me, the various administrators who have found inventive ways to facilitate the collaboration, the people filming this, but also and especially my colleagues in the IU English department. So I will simply mention my beloved friends, some of whom had a dinner party to celebrate this award, at which everyone agreed that I simply had to say one thing which I am now going to say, even though it is a little bit embarrassing. They wanted me to admit that I never stood here or anywhere else ironing or vacuum cleaning. Never. Not in the entirety of my life. Okay, that is true, though I cherish, honor, and depend upon those who do. And so I have kept my promise, and in my defense I have to add that I do cook and I change sheets. Finally, of course, Sandra and I want to thank the members of our families. In too many ways to mention, our children, Rogers, Kathy, and Susanna Gilbert, as well as my own, Mara and Simone Gubar, sparked ideas, extended our thinking, or tactfully nudged us to recast our speculations. The late Elliot Gilbert and my dear husband, Don Gray, edited, joked, schmoozed, and generally contributed so much hilarity to the sheer pleasure of our venture. Well, they functioned as part of the collaboration. Sandra and I are very sorry we could not attend the award ceremony in person, but we want all of you to know how much this recognition means to us personally. Just as important, we relish this award as a celebration of several generations of women writers and feminist critics whose words have transformed the worlds we inhabit and imagine today. Thank you so much.